Here's my van up there. Here's the train station. And I'm off to Bologna, the food capital of Italy. Apparently where Italians go to eat. It's got so many cool, quirky, historic and delicious hidden gems that I can't show you them all. But here's 10 to give you a taste. This safety sign made me laugh. Don't cross the tracks or you'll lose a foot. Straight off the train is number 1. This clock is always wrong. It's actually set as a tribute to the victims of a time bomb attack that exploded in 1980, killing 85 people and injuring 200. Number 2 is stunning architecture. From the 1st century to Etruscan, Roman, medieval to modern, amazing architecture is absolutely everywhere. I'll show you some of the big hitters later on, but to give you a taste, 10 gateways like this Porta Galleria survived from medieval times, and there are 62 kilometres or 32 miles of porticos, which are very unique to Bologna, because in 1288 the city passed regulations that all buildings had to have a portico along the main facade that was high enough to ride a horse, wide enough for the market stalls, and raised out of the muck of the street. It was a clever move because it meant the owners of the building had to pay for the upkeep, which the city couldn't afford to do. Number 3 is they love a good market. I stumbled across a couple of markets, but there is always one every week in this big square. Apparently fur is in. And I'll add vintage shops to this one because there's a ton of them and they are awesome. Look at this stuff for $5 each. I did a full day of filming and none of my audio worked, so let me dub this one for you. Number 4 is possibly my favourite. Did you know that Bologna had canals like Venice does, except they're now mostly covered up? But there are 1 or 2 unexpected places that you can still see them. Down this side street, next to this awesome restaurant that I'll tell you about later, is this barely noticeable surprise door. Finestrella di Via Piella gets an awful lot of visitors, and this is why. Tide's a little low, but how cool is that? Bologna also competes with Pisa for leaning towers. Asinelli is the tall one and Garasenda is the short one. Both of them are leaning. Shame about the gigantic red thing. There's a restoration project going on, so it's a little bit hard to see them just at the moment, but I'm sure that will look fabulous in a couple of years' time. Okay, let's get on to some of the big hitters, which are all centred around the main square, Piazza Maggiore. You may have caught on that I was here just after Christmas, so as a little bonus, here's how you undecorate a gigantic Christmas tree. 2 fun stories about the Fountain of Neptune. Recognise that trident? It's the inspiration for the famous Maserati emblem. Pope Pius IV commissioned it to represent his power. Initially unhappy, he ordered Neptune's manliness be made smaller. Legend says the artist got revenge and deliberately sculpted the hand so that from the right angle, Neptune's power is unrivalled. This statue of a pope had to be disguised as Saint Petronius to avoid being made into cannonballs. These carvings directly underneath him, the left is rumoured to be done by Michelangelo, but the one on the right, the locals say looks more like a pigeon. Building Basilica di San Petronio in the 1300s demonstrated Bologna's desire for independence from Rome. It was to be bigger than St. Peter's and oriented deliberately north, away from Rome. Rome was unhappy. And there is such a long and complicated history around that it still isn't finished, and it was only consecrated by the church in 1954, 564 years after construction started. But inside the church, number 8 is one of the largest astronomical instruments in the world. It's a meridian line. It's 67 metres long and built in the 1600s by Cassini, an astronomer who found 4 of Saturn's suns. By tracking the sun coming through a hole in the roof and following its path along the line, he used it to work out the Earth's orbit around the sun is actually elliptical and that it changed speed according to distance from the sun. If you come out the back of the church and turn left, you'll find a palace built for the oldest continually operated university in the world. It's cool. Also built to stop the church being bigger than St. Peter's. The walls are lined with the coats of arms representing 6,000 students and other important people. You can visit the oldest preserved anatomical theatre that was used for anatomy lessons. The ceiling is intricately carved and the walls are lined with carvings of famous doctors and anatomists. The lecturer would sit here between the skinned men on either side. An anatomy above is receiving a femur instead of flowers from a cherub. You can also visit the library. This room used to be where the law students studied, but now is a reading room for the library, and you can actually see some of the collection of nearly 1 million artefacts, a lot from Bologna's history. And number 10, food. Whether it's ingredients or street food or restaurants, it all looks amazing and everything I've tasted was delicious and fresh. I'm absolutely starving, so I've stopped at a little cafe for a glass of vino rosso and some mortadella, a little selection, for the waiting of the other food. Look at the little pattern on it. These are called tigella. 2-year-old prosciutto and cream cheese. It's really delicious. I just saw this jaffle maker in the knife shop that makes these patterns, and I think I'm going to have to go back and get that. Again with the pattern. This one's got mortadella and cheese. Bologna is famous for mortadella, so this is traditional Bolognan food. Oh yeah. I've decided I'm going back to the knife shop because the little breads that they do are awesome. I really like them and I think I can do those in the van. So we're going to have a go at that. I'll have to get a recipe for the bread, but we'll have a go. I was recommended this restaurant by some locals who I met today, and I think they have absolutely nailed it. There's going to be a lot of bread in this meal. Okay, we've come to the right place. Oh, I'm a big fan of Bologna. What am I doing over here? Trying to find my train station to get back to my van. I had such a lovely day. I'm pooped. Big day in Bologna. Lots and lots of things to see. It's great. I really like it. I really like it. It feels easy to get around. It's got all the history and all of the food, and people are friendly, and it's really quirky, and I really, really like Bologna. You should definitely go to Bologna. Luckily, my train comes in 15 minutes, I think. The trains run from here to where I parked every 20 minutes until 10:30 at night. So, like, really easy to get around. Awesome. There was so much more stuff that I could have put in the video that it just wouldn't fit. So there's plenty to do in Bologna. You should definitely go. And if you like seeing videos like this, then hit the button. You know what to do. Hit one of the buttons. One of those buttons. Go on, hit a button.